WNBA. Let's just be honest. I'm not going to be offensive when I say this. WNBA, NBA. Who watches what? Who makes more money? Women's MMA, sure, have women's MMA. Have it a thing. I don't like to watch it. I don't think most people like to watch it. If the females MMA were to separate from a male MMA, no one's gonna watch it. No one wants to watch it. Just what it is, man. I don't fucking know what to tell you, dude. And it is what it is. Like, why is that a bad? Like, again, do you want to watch a sports car race a fucking Honda Civic? No, you want to watch a sports car. There is a vast difference between men and women.
All right, guys. So once again, we got to talk about the woke sports media that is calling to cancel athletes who disagree with the far left narrative. And this time, we got to talk about UFC middleweight champion Sean Strickland, who made comments about the LGBTQ community after being asked a silly question about the LGBTQ community by a woke sports reporter. And now his comments are going viral because a lot of pearl clutching is going on in the sports media over Sean Strickland's comments.
Yeah. Sean, we were talking before about how you have so much respect from your teammates, from peers. You said you've had great interaction with fans pretty much all the time. I did want to ask, you're in Toronto. Welcome. Glad to hear it. It's been great.
Are you Canadian?
Of course I am.
Are you part of the opposition? Are you?
I don't know how to phrase that.
You got like, yeah.
Well, I did want to ask.
Did you vote for Trudeau?
I'm not going to say.
And let me tell you something right now. If a man says he's not going to say, like, if you ask him, motherfucker, did you vote for Biden? He's like, well, I'm not going to say. That's none of your business. He voted for Biden.
Sean,
hey,
Sean, I'm glad you've had great experiences.
So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. The enemy of Canada.
Sure.
All right.
That's what it's got to be. It's got to be. We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said, if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and some would say...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay?
Have you had the chance to interact with a more diverse...
Let me know, are you gay?
Could I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking, this is a part of, are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak man, dude. You're part of the problem. You elected Justin Trudeau. Like, when he sees the bank accounts, like, you're just pathetic. And the fact that you have no backbone, and has he shut down your country and seized bank accounts? You ask me some stupid shit like that, go yourself. Move the on, man.
That doesn't really answer the question, but I did.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, that woke reporter clearly did not get the message because he went on to ask Sean Strickland about the trans community, and Sean Strickland is like, look, man, I just don't want the woke gender agenda to be pushed on kids in school and things like that. This is not something that the rest of the world is really getting on board with. I don't know why you asked me these stupid questions, right? Basically, Sean Strickland continued to go off on the reporter for asking silly questions that really don't have anything to do with fighting, right? Or sports or anything, okay? I mean, the woke reporter clearly had an agenda, and Sean Strickland was not going for it, right? So with that being said, you have the liberal media upset, the liberal sports media upset. We have Mr. Michael Ryan Ruiz, who is a part of the Dan Le Batard show, and he's going to essentially demand that ESPN make a public statement about this, okay? He's going to go into a full-blown meltdown over this exchange between the woke reporter and Sean Strickland. Let's get into it.
That is bullshit that we allow that. It's bullshit, and we can't ignore it, and we should. If there isn't going to be a punitive measure, let's move on. Move the on.
But there can't be a punitive measure, Mike, if the person in charge doesn't feel anything in the way of pressure. Like, there has to be the outrage and the reaction to it. Now, I understand that the reaction these days to the outrage is to simply say, you're too sensitive. You want to cancel me. This isn't freedom, you being outraged by every little thing. But this kind of speech is not a little thing.
He's wearing a T-shirt that says, women go back in the kitchen. Well, like, what are we doing? Like that's not... Look, we haven't even touched on that. That's hatred of 40 years ago. We kind of got past that.
Yeah, so again, here we go. Okay, if you are a traditionalist, right, and you believe in traditional gender roles, that's hatred, right? That's hatred. But what you can see here is that basically what they're saying is that, well, if there's no pressure from the top, aka Dana White, I think that's what they're saying here. If Dana White doesn't have a problem with it, if he's essentially going to allow free speech, right, on his platform, then there's nothing we can really do about it, okay? Because, you know, he is the boss, right? And obviously the UFC is making money, but this is the UFC, okay? The UFC brand is this, right? It is this anti-PC, anti-cancel culture, right? It's like, you know, everything goes. Like, this is fighting, man. Like, this is the most masculine, testosterone-filled sport that there is, right? This is what the fans want, okay? And again, these people are complaining about Sean Strickland's response to a question that, in my opinion, shouldn't even be asked to an athlete, right? You shouldn't be asking an athlete about some comments he made about the LGBTQ community, right? Why even ask the question in the first place? Why are you confronting him about it? Why even make it a thing? It has nothing to do with the fight. But again, no. Get mad at Sean Strickland for responding in a way that the woke reporter knew he would respond, knowing his personality, knowing how he is. You get mad at Sean Strickland for doing what we all know he's going to do rather than get mad at the reporter for bringing up the subject in the first place. A subject that should not be brought up when we're talking about sports, right? They're there to answer questions about the fight, about their opponent. But hey, this is what the woke mainstream liberal media wanted, right? Especially in the post-Kaepernick kneeling for the national anthem, LeBron James, George Floyd, racism, athletes need to speak out about social justice, speak out on social issues. This is what they wanted, right? This is what they wanted. This era of sports where we've essentially normalized athletes speaking out on social issues. You get it both ways, right? You get the athletes saying the woke stuff, like, for example, that the country is systemically racist and, you know, white people are bad and yada, 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 police officers are bad, which, by the way, these people would celebrate and nobody would be calling to cancel those athletes, right? Those athletes should be put on a pedestal. In fact, we need to give them a bigger megaphone to spew their ignorance, right? People like LeBron James would be praised, again, for taking a left-wing position. You remember this guy, LeBron James, tried to dox a police officer? Okay, you're talking about people who have come out and spew a narrative that has caused real-world violence, right? Athletes taking stances in line with Black Lives Matter has caused real-world violence and destruction, okay? People have lost their lives behind that movement. But yet, again, that's never perceived as hateful, dangerous, we need to censor that. No. But when you have a guy that speaks from a more traditional perspective, right, an anti-woke perspective against the woke agenda, right, in response to being provoked to talk about it, we got to cancel this guy, right? We got to silence him, okay? Somebody needs to speak out and say something about this. This is going too far. We can't be platforming this, right? Again, it's amazing how that works, a double standard here.
And now we're just rehashing it because there has been a change. And it's the same people that asked for politics to be kept out of sports and have introduced this vile hatred into it.
No, the woke reporter introduced the question into a press conference that question really wasn't necessary. They do this all the time, okay? I just did a video yesterday about the woke reporter asking Gerard Mayo about how does it feel to be a black head coach, right? Or the first black head coach of New England Patriots. Or asking Robert Kraft how he feels about it. These people introduce politics and then they want to get mad when they get an answer that they don't like. But you guys are the ones that have encouraged athletes to speak out on politics. But again, if it's the politics they don't like, all of a sudden, this is too much. We can't have this.
While being platformed, while being legitimized, as the former president of the United States sits next to Dana White, the head of their company, at big marquee events. It's just, as it's on ESPN. I asked Jimmy Pitaro, what gonads are you going to show me in this instance? Because that pay-per-view is on ESPN+. That is on ESPN+. And I know Disney is an inclusive company. I worked for it.
Inclusive. What does inclusive mean? Again, he's telling you exactly what inclusive means to the left. Inclusive of everything except what they disagree with, right? Because if they're really inclusive, then, hey, Sean Strickland's comment should be fair game for true inclusion, okay? Because, again, we know if he would responded and said, oh, well, I'm sorry about my comments. I support the LGBTQ community. I support, transgender people as well, too. There's so much hatred towards them and, yada, yada, yada. If he would come out here and start, tap dancing, right, like most of the athletes do, then, hey, that's totally fine. But if he doesn't want to tap dance, oh, well, that's not inclusive, right? That's not inclusive. Again, it's fascinating how these people think. I really don't get it. I really don't understand how they don't see the clear and overt double standard in the hypocrisy that they're spewing here.
You say nothing? You know what? You were right, Dan. I'll walk it back. End of the segment. I have to change my mind on something. I'm glad you made us play that video. Because while the UFC isn't going to do anything about it, I would challenge ESPN to make a public statement on this. Because that kind of hate is going over their airwaves. The Walt Disney Company. What? Are you a chicken shit? That you allow this with impunity regularly, but it's never been this vile. The guy's wearing a t-shirt that says, women belong in the kitchen, a gun in every hand. Disney's a family company.
Yeah, they're a family company. Again, where was all this when Disney was pushing the woke agenda on children? Where was Disney's a family company. We shouldn't be allowing this. But again, here's the thing. ESPN, that's sports. When you're talking about the UFC, when you're talking about fighters, again, this is not PC stuff. This is not for the softies, right? This is not for the estrogen-filled men. This is for the top dogs, right? The people that are not clutching their pearls over curse words or over, statements that, make you feel a little uncomfortable, right? This is for real men, okay? And you got to understand that that's what it is. And that's what makes the sport great. That's what makes people want to watch the sport because of those things. But yet, again, this guy right here, apparently he can't handle that, right? And he's essentially trying to push for ESPN to punish the UFC in some way because of Sean Strickland's comments instead of, again, going after the reporter for asking that question in the first place because he prompted it. He prompted that response. It is what it is. When they ask these stupid questions, hey, I mean, what can you expect?
Hell, Disney's a company. Take family out of it. This is revolting. You have that guy's last name on a pay-per-view. At the very least, condemn it.
Condemn it. Condemn it, he says. Right? Again, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing how these people are so easily butthurt. Okay? If you're that butthurt, then just don't watch it, right? I mean, again, if you really are that soft, okay, if you're made of that much soy, don't watch the press conference, right? Just don't watch it. Don't participate. In fact, don't watch the fights at all because clearly you can't handle this type of stuff, okay? Clearly, your cojones is still in your stomach, hasn't descended yet. So, again, until then I suggest that you just don't consume the content. Don't watch it. You don't need to call for Disney to say anything about it. They don't need to say anything about it. Disney knew what they were signing up for. When they did this, when they decided to air this, just like they knew what they were signing up for when they had Aaron Rodgers come on Pat McAfee's show, right? They knew what they was getting. So at the end of the day, there's no reason for them to say anything about it or to make any statements about it. These people show you time and time and time again how they really don't believe in free speech and how, again, there's a double standard when it comes to woke athletes versus non-woke athletes, okay? Non-woke athletes must be censored and condemned. The woke ones, though, they're praised and glorified. It doesn't matter the actual result or the consequences of their silly rhetoric. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.